A polished Gulfstream G650 glides along the runway at sunset, its engines humming a low, powerful growl beneath an amber sky. Ground crew move in perfect sync, fuel trucks backing away. TUG operators nodding to one another, as if part of a silent choreography. Yet, amid the routine, one vigilant figure locks his gaze on the twin turbines, where a barely perceptible tremor dances beneath the gleaming cowling. The mechanic taps a note into his clipboard. Unusual vibration in engine 2. Recommend. Full teardown, circling it in bold red. The status board flips from on schedule to cleared for takeoff, and the jet's wheels pivot toward departure. But when the engines falter miles above the clouds, it will be that lone warning and the skill it represents that stands between routine flight and catastrophe. They ignored the black mechanic's warning until his fix saved a CEO's private jet. The mechanic didn't discover his gift in a classroom, he found it in a sun-baked backyard garage, elbowed in a dust-caked engine block. Growing up in a close-knit neighborhood, he spent weekends beside his mother's aging sedan, coaxing sputters into smooth purrs with nothing more than a wrench, a spark plug, and an unshakable curiosity. While other kids played street ball, he measured compression ratios and memorized torque specs, driven by the hum of pistons and the promise of motion. Today, he is the lead mechanic at Horizon Airfield's busiest maintenance bay, one of the few black technicians in sight, yet universally respected for the precision of his craft. His workbench is a study in order, spanners and sockets arranged by size, turbine manuals dog-eared at critical pages, and a tablet glowing with vibration analysis graphs. He speaks little, preferring the language of data: oil pressure readings, thermal scans, RPM curves that leaves no room for doubt. Each morning he greets every aircraft as though it were a trusted friend, fingertips tracing cowling seams and intake ports with intuitive ease. He senses the slightest imbalance in a rotor's spin and reads a turbine's heartbeat in its decibels. Colleagues know that when he logs a recommendation, it carries the weight of years spent mastering the mechanics of flight. Off the clock, he returns to the same neighborhood that nurtured him, teaching engine fundamentals to eager teens who see in him both mentor and role model. He never flaunts his accomplishments. The smooth takeoffs and emergency-free flights do that for him. Yet behind his calm demeanor lies an unshakable belief. In aviation, precision is life itself, and every warning deserves its moment in the spotlight, no matter whose voice delivers it. Each morning before sunrise, the mechanic makes his rounds through the cavernous hangar, moving with a practiced rhythm born of routine and respect. He begins at the row of turboprop sleek King Airs parked nose-toot under the fluorescent lights. Gloves on, he crouches beside each nacelle, tracing rivet lines with a fingertip, checking oil levels, and pressing a stethoscope to the intake for any telltale hum of imbalance. A gentle tap of the dipstick, a quick note on his tablet: hydraulic pressure nominal. Recommend bleed test at next cycle, and he advances down the line. Next come the mid-sized charters, Citations and Learjets, whose landing gear struts he tests under simulated load, whose control cables he flexes to expose hidden frays, and whose fuel valves he cycles while monitoring gauge readings. Each aircraft earns its moment of scrutiny, every inspection a silent pact that no detail is too small when lives depend on these machines. But it's the heavy corporate jets that command the most reverence, especially one in particular. Parked in its own bay stands a glossy Gulfstream G650, its fuselage polished to a mirror finish. This jet belongs to a high-profile philanthropist, whose missions deliver aid to remote villages at dawn and ferry dignitaries to groundbreaking ceremonies. By dusk, its immaculate exterior speaks of luxury and power, but beneath that pristine shell lies an ironclad departure schedule. Remote airstrips at first light, life-saving cargo drops at day's end. A single malfunction here could stall an entire humanitarian campaign and risk countless lives. Today, as the mechanic approaches engine 2 of the G650, he pulls his handheld vibration analyzer from its holster. The initial scan pulses green until a sudden red spike registers at 3,200 RPM. He pauses, brow furrowing, then repeats the test. The anomaly persists. His chest tightens. Such an oscillation could mean turbine-blade imbalance, foreign object damage, or worst of all, metal fatigue at the blade root. Any of these, if left unchecked under full thrust, could fracture a blade mid-flight, hurl shrapnel through fuel lines, and ignite a catastrophic fire. He taps out a concise entry on his tablet, each word carrying the weight of his expertise. Engine number 2. Detected anomalous vibration at 3,200 RPM. Recommend teardown and blade. Inspection prior to departure. He draws a bold red circle around teardown. Behind him, the hangar hum builds, fuel trucks rolling away, crew gathering for final pre-flight checks, radios crackling with departure clearances. Outside, the status board looms. On schedule blinks defiantly beside the Gulfstream's tail number. But for the mechanic, time has frozen on that red-ink warning. He knows that in aviation, no schedule or no status board should ever eclipse the imperative of safety. The hangar's air grew heavy with urgency as the operations manager strode in, tapping his watch like a metronome. Under relentless pressure to maintain tight schedules, he scanned the mechanic's tablet and scoffed. "This is over," he declared, pinpointing the circled warning. "We've dispatched half a dozen G650s this week, with 0 issues. Your job is to clear this jet, not ground it." The mechanic stood firm. The vibration data speaks for itself. At 3,200 RPM, that anomaly indicates potential blade fatigue. If we skip the teardown, the next takeoff could be fatal. The supervisor waved him off. "Our client's philanthropy tour kicks off at dawn. Children awaiting aid in remote villages. We can't afford delays or bad press. We fly now." Moments later, the philanthropist herself arrived, her presence commanding silence. Polished heels clicked against concrete as she approached the crew lounge door. "What's causing the holdup?" she asked, eyes locking onto the maintenance display. The mechanic explained. "Engine 2 shows signs of metal fatigue. Under full thrust, a blade could fracture and ignite a fire mid-flight." She closed her eyes briefly, the weight of her mission heavy on her expression. "Lives depend on this schedule. Every delayed minute is time stolen from those in need," she said, voice steady. The supervisor stepped beside her, voice low but firm. "We have a 30-minute window before airspace restrictions. We'll depart now, and if there's an issue, our crew is trained to manage it in flight." Her gaze flickered between urgency and caution. After a tense pause, she nodded. "Depart in 30 minutes. With that, the hangar's hum resumed, the mechanic's warning relegated to red ink beneath the glaring lights of a ticking schedule. Late that night, the hangar was silent except for the click of a clock in the back shop. Under a single overhead lamp, the mechanic hunched over his tablet, replaying the vibration graphs he'd pulled from Engine 2. The jagged red spikes at exactly 3,200 RPM glowed against the dark background, a stark warning he couldn't unsee. He toggled to last week's flight data logs, comparing engine performance curves. The anomaly was real and worsening with each run. He leaned back, rubbing his temples. Midnight oil had never tasted so bitter. If he pressed the issue, he risked insubordination, charges, maybe even termination. Yet the thought of that turbine blade fracturing mid-cruise altitude, sending metal shards ripping through the casing and igniting a fire, kept his heart pounding. Lives on board hung in the balance, and the weight of that potential tragedy pressed on his conscience. A memory flickered in his mind. As a boy, he'd crouched beside his mother's sputtering sedan in their driveway, labels smeared in grease. On his small hands, with nothing but a wrench and a spark plug, he had coaxed life back into that engine, watching her face light up when the car roared to life. That moment had defined him, the power of a single, precise action to change everything. He straightened, resolve hardening. This wasn't about protocol or pride, it was about preventing a disaster he knew was avoidable. Rules existed to guide, not to silence urgent truths. If bending the policies meant saving lives, then that was a risk he was willing to take. Slipping the tablet into his jacket pocket and grabbing his toolkit, he whispered to the empty shop, "Some warnings can't wait." With steady steps, he headed back to the jet. Dawn would bring confrontation, but also the chance to ensure safety. Triumphed over schedule. Late that night, when the hangar's last lights and voices had faded, the mechanic slipped back through the yawning bay doors into moonlit silence. The Gulfstream sat like a sleeping giant, its silver fuselage reflecting pale beams through high windows. Toolkit in hand, stethoscope, thermal camera, locking panel wrenches, he moved with quiet purpose. Every footstep a promise to prevent disaster. He crouched beside Engine 2 and fitted the stethoscope's chest piece against the cowling. listening for anything beyond the soft hiss of residual hydraulic pressure. A rhythmic, metallic tick echoed in his earpieces, too deliberate to be normal. He paused, adjusting the stethoscope until the tick resolved into a pattern, a telltale signature of imbalance. Switching to the thermal camera, he warmed it up and pressed the lens against the access hatch. After loosening the locking screws, the panel dropped away with a muted thud, revealing the labyrinth of turbine blades inside. One by one, he scanned each blade from root to tip. Under infrared, most glowed a steady orange until a single root flickered cold blue. He zoomed in, fingers steady, and the screen revealed hairline fissures radiating from the base of that blade. He swallowed hard. In that moment, the stakes crystallized. If that fatigued blade shattered under full thrust, centrifugal force would hurl metal fragments through the engine casing, shredding fuel lines and igniting a catastrophic fire. Mid-flight, at 30,000 feet, there would be no safe landing, only chaos and horror. Pulling out his tablet, he documented every detail: high-resolution thermal snapshots, time-stamped audio logs of the stethoscope readings, and a precise note: blade root, fatigue detected, recommend immediate blade replacement and full turbine teardown. He circled the recommendation twice in red. Despite the risk of disciplinary action, he knew waiting for official hours was a gamble too dangerous to take. With methodical care, he reattached the access panel, wiped away any fingerprints, and secured each screw to factory torque spec. Standing in the cool night air, he brushed away a bead of sweat from his brow. His decision was made. Come dawn, he would confront the departure schedule with undeniable proof, because some warnings, once heard, can never be ignored. At first light, the hangar's crew lounge glowed with soft fluorescent light. The CEO sat at a high-top table, scrolling through her tablet and sipping espresso, her mind already on the day's mission. The mechanic approached, heart pounding. With urgency, "Good morning," he began, voice steady. "I reviewed last night's thermal scans and stethoscope readings. That hairline crack at the turbine blade root will only worsen under full thrust." He tapped his tablet, bringing up the cold blue fissure glowing under infrared. At 3,200 RPM, that blade could fracture, sending shrapnel through the casing and igniting a fire mid-flight. She set down her cup, eyes narrowing as she absorbed. "The data, you're saying this could happen in the air?" He nodded. "It's rare but real. I know schedules are tight, but I can't stand by if there's a preventable failure." Before she could respond, the supervisor burst in, voice clipped with impatience. "He's just a mechanic," he snapped, placing a hand on her arm. "We have a 30-minute departure window. If we miss it, airspace restrictions and media deadlines will cost us millions. We leave on time." The CEO glanced between them, tension flickering in her gaze. As the supervisor guided her toward the hangar doors, the mechanic's warning lingered in the irrigant, unheeded and poised on the edge of disaster. The hangar hums with final preparations as dawn breaks. Ground crew bleed hydraulic lines under the wings, valves clicking open and closed in a crisp, mechanical rhythm. Technicians hunch over pitot probes, calibrating them with precision tools. Avionics specialists download last-minute flight plan updates, eyes flicking between screens of numbers and maps. Outside, the Gulfstream G650's engine spooled up to taxi power. Its polished fuselage glides forward, wheels whispering against the tarmac as it inches toward the runway threshold. Fuel trucks and support vehicles peel away, folding back like petals around the jet's path. From the hangar edge, the mechanic grips his radio mic, voice taut with urgency. "Tower, this is Carter. Hold departure engine to needs inspection. Vibration anomaly confirmed with metal fatigue." Silence crackles on the frequency, broken only by distant engine roars and the steady click of instruments. He tries again, desperation threading his tone. "Please, this could be catastrophic." A sharp click snaps him off the air. A gravelly voice cuts through. "Shut up, Carter, this isn't your decision. It's the supervisor." Flat and final. The jet's nose wheel crosses the painted hold line. The runway lights blink on in sequence, framing the departure path. Crew members step back, hands on hips. The G650 rolls forward again, its shadow stretching long in the morning light. The mechanic's jaw clenches, his tablet still glows with last night's thermal images and data points, proof that breathes urgency into every second. He watches the jet pick up speed, the gap to the runway's end shrinking. One more fraction of a turn, one more surge of thrust, and the fissured blade might give way. He drops the mic, heart hammering. In that charged moment, every second counts in. The silent alarm he raised still echoes through the hangar's walls. The moment the jet's engines surged to full military power, the runway seemed to tremble beneath its wheels. Inside the cockpit, dual-engine gauges climbed past, takeoff parameters 85%, 90%, while the powerful whine of high-thrust turbines pressed passengers back into their seats. Ground crews watched with bated breath as the Gulfstream G650 accelerated, its polished fuselage cutting through the morning haze. Then came the bang, a deep, metallic crack that reverberated through the airframe like a rifle shot. The vibration hit instantly, a violent tremor that rattled overhead bins and sent coffee cups skittering across trays. Warning lights flickered on the instrument panel as the cabin shuddered, control yokes shaking in the pilot's grips. Without hesitation, the pilot's voice cut through the alarms. Abort! Abort! Throttles slammed back into idle, and the anti-skid brakes howled in protest. Sparks flaring beneath the wheel wells as steel fought rubber to bring the jet to a halt. Passengers grasped armrests, knuckles white, as seats jolted forward, and then back in rapid succession. The intercom crackled with terse commands to hold position, to ready emergency services, while outside, fire trucks and foam tenders raced into position. Through the cockpit windshield, the nose of the G650 crept toward the runway's painted end, then froze mere inches from the red and white barrier. A tense silence followed, broken only by the echo of brake temperature high warnings on digital readouts. Passengers exchanged wide-eyed glances. Flight attendants began breaking into hushed reassurances. At the cabin door, the CEO pressed her palm to the window, eyes fixed on the tremor-marked turbines. Her breath caught as realization washed over her. This was the moment she understood the full gravity of the ignored warning. Voice trembling, she whispered to herself and to everyone listening. He was right. In that suspended heartbeat, the weight of overlooked expertise and the true cost of convenience crystallized, setting the stage for accountability and the reckoning still to come. Fire trucks and foam tenders roar onto the runway, their lights cutting swaths of red and blue through the morning haze. Paramedics rush forward, equipment in hand, though cabin reports confirm no serious injuries. A perimeter forms around the grounded jet as technicians in high-visibility vests cluster near Engine 2, flashlights probing every nook of the cowling. The acrid scent of burnt rubber and hydraulics lingers in the air, a harsh reminder of how close they came to tragedy. From the hangar's edge, the mechanic watches with clenched fists. He half expects an operations manager's furious glare or worse, the cold sweep of a security escort. Every second feels like a lifetime as he waits for the summons he knows must come. His mind flashes back to the midnight inspection, to the red-circled tablet entry, to the word teardown that now echoes like a prophecy fulfilled. Then, over the radio, a crisp voice cuts through the chaos. "Carter, report to the maintenance control office." Now, his stomach twists, but he steels himself and jogs toward the command center. Boots pounding concrete. Inside the glass-walled office, cameras from media crews briefed earlier for a routine departure turn. Toward him, the CEO strides in moments later, her tailored blazer brushing past racks of flight plans. She pauses at the door, eyes narrowing not with anger, but with a fierce, unwavering gratitude. "Everyone, stand down," she commands, voice carrying through the control room. Technicians fall silent and swivel toward her. She turns to the mechanic. "You saved my life and everyone on that jet. Had you not insisted on that teardown, we'd be dealing with casualties, not headlines about gratitude." Microphones click and cameras flash as reporters record her statement. She lifts a hand toward him. "Thank you for your vigilance and expertise. You are the reason we're all safe this morning." The operations manager, who'd hovered nervously in the back, steps forward. His expression is a mixture of shame and defiance. Before he can open his mouth, the CEO fixes him with a steely gaze. "Your disregard for professional warning nearly cost us everything," she says. "In this organization, saving lives matters more than on-time departures. Effective immediately, your contract is terminated." A stunned silence follows. Security personnel move in to escort the former manager toward the exit, while his protests fade under the hum of camera lenses. The room exhales as the tension breaks relief, vindication, and a renewed respect for those who speak up. The mechanic stands at the center, breaths deepening. He meets the CEO's eyes and offers a modest nod, too overwhelmed for words. Around him, colleagues exchange congratulatory handshakes and pats on the back, their earlier skepticism washed away by the day's dramatic turn. Outside the control room's glass walls, media crews gather footage of the grounded jet and the makeshift runway scene. Their reporters prepare live segments under banners, reading near miss, averted by mechanic, and expertise over schedule. A wake-up call. As he steps back into the hangar's main bay, the mechanic allows himself a small, satisfied exhale. His warning was more than a note on a tablet. It was the fulcrum that turned potential disaster into a story of survival. And in that charged aftermath, one message resonates louder than any headline. Expertise demands respect, and every warning must be heard. As the sun climbs higher, the hangar transforms into a controlled storm of activity. In a rapid time-lapse, panels clatter to the floor, and locking screws spin out, revealing the tangle of turbine blades within engine 2. The mechanic's hands move with surgical precision, wrench socket and spatula working in seamless choreography. As he extracts the damaged assembly, a skeleton crew springs into synchronized motion. One technician lifts the fractured turbine out on a hoist, another slides the new blade stack into position, and a third tightens each bolt to exact torque specifications. Hydraulic lines hiss as air is bled from the system, and fluid reservoirs top up under the watchful eye of a junior mechanic, taking meticulous notes. Diagnostic rigs beep to life, spinning new blades at low RPM before ramping up to full test cycles. Green lights on every gauge, confirming perfect balance. Initially, a handful of colleagues stand at the bay's edge, arms crossed, recalling the supervisor's earlier dismissal. But as vibration monitors settle into steady lines and thermal cameras show uniform heat signatures, those same faces relax into awed smiles. One by one, they step forward, handing tools, relaying readings, and offering nods of respect. The crew's energy crescendos into a unified cheer when the final diagnostic completes without a hiccup. Above the din, the CEO watches from the observation deck's glass enclosure. Her arms crossed, she studies the scene below, noting how calmly the mechanic communicates every instruction. No rush, no drama, just unwavering focus. She sees him pause to confirm a pressure reading, then offers a reassuring nod to the technician logging data. In her eyes, admiration blooms. Here is leadership born of expertise, not title. Back on the hangar floor, the mechanic powers down the test rig and wipes his brow. He exchanges a brief, satisfied glance with the crew before collecting his tools. Around him, the bay hums with renewed respect and shared accomplishment. In this burst of collective effort, a fractured turbine became more than a repair. It became a testament to the power of teamwork, trust, and the unshakable certainty that when expertise leads, safety follows. The CEO's office is a study in understated power, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the runway, a minimalist desk of dark wood, and shelves lined with models of her fleet. When the mechanic steps inside, she rises and offers a genuine smile. "Please, have a seat," she says, gesturing to a pair of leather chairs. Once he's settled, she leans forward, steepling her fingers. "I've been thinking about today's events," she begins. "You didn't just fix a jet, you saved dozens of lives and preserved an entire mission. Your expertise and your courage to insist on safety deserves more than a thank you." She slides a slim folder across the desk. He opens it to find a detailed proposal. The title reads, "Head of Corporate Fleet Maintenance Division." Below, outlined in crisp bullet points, are his new responsibilities and benefits: full budget authority, unrestricted control over maintenance spending, from parts procurement to state-of-the-art diagnostic tools, autonomous leadership, authority to set inspection protocols, decide when to ground any aircraft, and develop new safety standards, team building, freedom to recruit, mentor, and lead a diverse team of mechanics. No more fighting red tape or doubters. The folder includes projections: reduced unscheduled maintenance by 40%, improved fleet readiness, and a training program for underrepresented youth. His youth-center vision scaled across the entire operation. The mechanic's eyes scan the offer, heart pounding. It's everything he's ever wanted: resources, respect, real power to shape a safer, more inclusive aviation culture. Yet his thoughts drift to Horizon Airfield, the colleagues who'd become family. The backshop nights filled with grease and determination. The teens he still mentors on Saturdays. He looks up. "This is an incredible opportunity," he says quietly. "But Horizon gave me my start, and loyalty matters. I need to consider how best to honor both my roots and my potential to make a broader impact." The CEO nods, understanding. "I respect your integrity," she replies. "Take the time you need. Just know there's no ceiling here, only the chance to transform aviation safety and inspire the next generation." Silence settles, charged with possibility. In that moment, the mechanic stands at a crossroads between the familiar hangar and the promise of industry-wide change, his decision poised to redefine both his career and the future of flight safety. As the late afternoon sun dipped low, the repaired Gulfstream G650 emerged from the hangar once more, its polished fuselage gleaming in the golden light. Ground crew cleared the taxiway, their movements now buoyed by quiet confidence rather than urgency. The mechanic stood at the edge of the ramp, tablet in hand. Diagnostic readouts, all green, vibration levels negligible, temperature curves steady, thrust symmetry perfect. The jet rolled forward with a smooth hum, wheels tracing the painted center line as its shadow stretched across the tarmac. The mechanic raised his gloved hand in a final salute, thumbs up, clear enough for everyone to see. Cameras captured the moment, the evening glow framing his silhouette against the jet's sleek contours. Reporters and crew exchanged nods. The tension of earlier hours had given way to triumphant relief. Inside the cockpit, the pilot's pre-flight checks completed. She gave a discreet wave through the window. The mechanic tapped his radio monitor, then set the device aside. No words. Where needed, a re-indicator spoke of a flawless repair. Engines spooled up, building from a gentle purr to a powerful crescendo that reverberated through the air. The G650 surged forward, gathering speed with fluid grace as its weight lifted from the ground. Passers-by paused to watch as the jet accelerated down the runway, then pitched upward into the sky. A brilliant contrail formed in its wake, catching the dying sunlight and blazing like a comet's tail. The mechanic exhaled, shoulders relaxing as the aircraft climbed into a canvas of pink and orange. Moments later, his radio crackled to life. "Carter, this is the cockpit. Thank you. You gave us wings again." A smile spread across his face, a rare, unguarded expression of pride. In that ascent, the jet carried more than passengers. It carried a testament to vigilance, expertise, and the courage to speak up when it mattered most. And as the Gulfstream disappeared into the horizon, the sky itself seemed to salute the power of a single, unwavering warning. 1 month later, the silhouette of a new state-of-the-art hangar rises against the runway, its glass facade reflecting the morning sun. Inside, the mechanic surveys a bustling workspace filled with advanced diagnostic bays, robotic tooling stations, and rows of aircraft awaiting inspection. Around him, a diverse team of 20 technicians, hand-picked from varied backgrounds, calibrates vibration analyzers, reviews predictive maintenance dashboards, and collaborates on safety protocols he helped design. This facility, funded by the CEO's vision and backed by unrestricted resources, stands as a testament to what listening to expertise can achieve. Gone are the days of cramped backshops and impromptu midnight fixes. Here, every inspection follows rigorous data-driven standards. The mechanic moves among the team like a conductor, offering focused guidance or a nod of encouragement. His CALM leadership fostering trust and innovation. On a large screen mounted above the central bay, a live news broadcast rolls. Black mechanic revolutionizes aviation safety anchor after a near miss a month ago. The lead mechanic's decisive action has rewritten maintenance protocols across the industry. New regulations now mandate deeper turbine inspections, inspired by his findings. The mechanic watches quietly, arms crossed, as industry experts and safety advocates praise the shift toward preventative care. Colleagues glance up, sharing proud smiles before returning to their work. Each smooth takeoff and drama-free departure. Now another validation of his unyielding standards. Later, he slips into a private corner of the hangar, tablet in hand. He scrolls through the logs where his original warning and midnight inspection notes remain highlighted in red. He pauses on the entry, recommend teardown and blade inspection. A faint smile tugs at his lips. What began as a solitary act of vigilance has rippled into widespread change, saving countless lives and elevating respect for voices once easily ignored. He closes the tablet, the soft click echoing in the high-ceilinged space. As he straightens, the team greets him with knowing nods and thumbs-up gestures, small tokens of gratitude that speak louder than any title. Stepping toward the hangar doors, he pauses in the golden light, looking out at jets climbing into the blue. In his reflection on the glass, he sees not just a mechanic, but a catalyst for industry-wide transformation. With one steadfast warning, he proved that true safety demands both expertise and the courage to speak up, and, in doing so, he changed the course of aviation history. Never judge a book by its cover. Subscribe True Black Voice for more real-life stories of triumph.